Hi, welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. Recently I read a couple of comments asking me how they can use a multi-people select column, or a multi-select people column in SharePoint to send an email out, because they end up getting these apply to each loops, which then ends up sending one email to every one of the selected people in that multi-select column. Long story short, let's see how we can eliminate that apply to each loop for the email part, and see how we can send one email to multiple people from that multi-people column from SharePoint. But first, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up if you like the video, and yeah, have fun with it. So here we are back on one of my SharePoint lists, and I have here a simple SharePoint list called schools. We have an ID, school name, a couple of irrelevant information, but what is of our interest is the column teachers. So the column teachers, if we take a look at it, is personal group column, type of column, and I've activated the allow multiple selections property, which allows me now to select multiple people for each item. So for the item ID number 1, we have here these 3 teachers. So what we can do now is we can go to Power Automate and say, let's create an insert cloud flow. In your case, maybe it will be embedded in another flow or another logic. Just pick here what you need and then embed it to your solution or your use case. So let's call this demo send email, and it will be a manually triggered flow. I'll select create. And after it has loaded, I want to go here and add an input. As I said, just to demonstrate it, I'm using a manually triggered flow, and I want the user, in this case myself, to pass the ID as a value, because I don't want to start a loop with get all items. I want to filter that query, and how I do it is I will pass one of these IDs. So the next step will be get item, not get items, so that I can pass that ID directly. I could also do get items and then do a filter query, but let's keep it simple. Okay, now it's connected. I can select my site address, which is my project management site. The list is my teachers SharePoint list, and the ID will be passed manually from this trigger. So it's also called ID, so say. So the next step will be to initialize a variable, if I write it correctly. Initialize a variable, and this will be called var recipients. I hope I wrote that correctly, and it will be in a string. So next step, I want to append to this string variable, and this is my var recipients, and this is where we use the teachers, so the column name. Let's search it, teachers. Why it's not there? Did I get the wrong list? No, it's called teachers. Oh, sorry, I need to go to the schools list. The teachers is the column, not the list. Okay, so now we should have the teachers column here, and we can see, because the table, we have a display name, we have an email column, picture, department, job title, and so on and so forth. So what we are interested on is the email. So this will create and apply to each loop. Why? Because it's appending every value from that table into this variable. So what you need to keep in mind is that you need a semicolon here, because otherwise it will be just concatenated next to each other. So I will go into click save, and yeah, before testing it, I want to create another action. Let it save for a second. There it is. So I'm going to go outside of that apply to each loop. I'm going to create a compose action. Why? Because after testing it, I will not be able to see inside the apply to each loop what is the total value of my variable. So to do this, so I can use a compose action and put my variable into that compose. Okay, so I'm going to do a manual test now. and my flow is going to request so that I input a number. And we have here a couple of IDs. Let's grab the ID number 1. We have Johanna, Helmut, and Niels. Okay, so going through the permissions. Okay, so I'm going to write here ID number 1, and I'm going to run the flow. It ran successfully. Let's take a look inside. And we have here our 3 names. As you can see, 3 names. And that's what I meant. Now we can only see here the values, the single values. But if we want to see the whole variable, we can use the compose action. And here we have our 3 emails. At the end, you will have a semicolon. But I've tested it and it will not bother the send an email connector, which means we can now directly go and add a new step and say send email. I use the one from Outlook, which is this one, the second version, but you can use also the third version. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's now going to create the connection. And we have here folder 2 and so on and so forth. Here are some more options than the version 2. And I'm going to use a dynamic content, which means I can put my variable here, or I can put my compose outputs. It's actually the same thing. And here I can also choose from whom, and so on and so forth. So let's grab here my email address. Since it's my demo account, I don't remember it. And I can select myself, fetch only and read, blah, blah, blah. We don't need that. And I'm going to click save. And I'm going to test it in a second. Let's do manually again. Yeah, now it has to sign in also for in my with my Outlook account. I'm going to say 1, run flow, done. And it ran successfully. So it sent this email to these 3 recipients. Yeah, that's it. That's how you can use a multi-people picker column from SharePoint to send out an email. Let me know what you think. If you have any troubles with it, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm happy to read your comments always. So let me know what you think about my videos or the content that I create. And if you do like it, then please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the videos so that I will be able to create more. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Have fun and see you on the next one. Bye.